Hello, I'm Sarah McCarthy-Fry, Member of Parliament for Portsmouth North, and I'm here with James Purnell, who's the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, and we're going to have a quick chat about things that affect people in Portsmouth. And I want to start off with incapacity benefit. Many people who aren't on incapacity benefit say to me, we've got too many people who are sitting at home on incapacity benefit when they could work, and I've got people who are on incapacity benefit who are very worried because they worry that they might have to come off and not be given sufficient support. And many of the people I speak to, they want a bit of flexibility. If they've been out of work for a long time, they've lost a bit of confidence, and what they'd like is some sort of flexibility about getting back into work and some support that if it gets a bit difficult, they can have a bit of flexibility. Is there any plans for that?
Well, there is actually. There's a great programme called Pathways, which is now available across the whole country for the first time, and that's had really great success with people, helping them, coaching, mentoring, providing some health support sometimes. And when you talk to people who've been through that programme and seen their experience, it's really inspirational because they say, look, I wish I'd done that years ago. My life's been completely transformed. I was spending my life at home, really sort of unfulfilled. Now I'm in work and I feel much better about my life. So I think there's a lot that we can do to provide support for people. It's also worth reassuring the first category of people that you were talking about. It's worth saying incapacity benefit trebled in the Conservative years. It used to go up year on year on year. Inexorably, more and more people were being effectively forced onto IB. Now it's been coming down for 8 years, and that's because we're providing the right support for people.
That's great. But what about employers? Do you think sometimes employers are reluctant to take on somebody who may be been out of work for a long time?
Some are, and we need to play a role in educating people. I mean, actually, I was talking to someone who'd been talking to a local authority that had done some research about people who had been on incapacity benefit, and they found they were 3 times less likely to be ill again, because if they'd not done all the work to get off IB and be in work, they were damned if they were going back unless there was a very good reason. So I think some of these sort of preconceptions can be overturned. I think also there's lots of employers who are saying, look, I want to get good, reliable people, and if I can get people from incapacity benefit, then that's great for my business. And it's also, there's millions of people with disabilities in this country. It's part of a good employer's responsibility to his or her community.
That's great to hear. Coming back to the flexibility line, I want to talk now about parents going back to work when their children are small.
Yeah.
Some people obviously would prefer to spend time at home, but we all know that if we're going to keep children out of poverty, work is the absolute best route out of poverty. What are we doing to help people, again, to flexibly get back to work and to be able to share the childcare?
Well, there's been a huge revolution going on here, really. I mean, the maternity leave has been expanded very much. We've now got paternity leave coming in. Lots of other countries have done before us, but we're catching up with that. I think the amount of money that people get has gone up as well. There's fantastic children's centres and help with people's childcare costs, but also this thing about having the right to request flexible working, which I think is a transformation happening in our sort of businesses now, and it's worth people asking their employer now. I think in the overwhelming majority of cases, employers say yes because they want to keep people working for them. They recognise lots of people are going to have children. There's no way that's not going to happen. So we need to change the way that we work to make it possible for people to combine their career and their family life. And I think it's a big change this government's made, actually.
I suppose from the employer's point of view, if they've gone to the expense of training somebody, it's actually worth having that person back.
Yeah,
and then being more flexible. How do you think that works with small and medium-sized enterprises, though? I know the big companies do it really well. How do we encourage those smaller companies to do it?
Well, I think it's partly about having a culture change. There's obviously money there from the government for paying for maternity pay, obviously, as well. And look, in the end, we need to make the most of the talents of everybody in our workforce, and we can't say we're going to sort of say, to parents, we're not going to use your talents, or to women in particular, we're not going to make it possible for you to combine career and family, and that's just got to be a basic principle.
No, that's great. So moving up to the other end of the age spectrum with today's pensioners, but I also want to go back to younger people. Younger people aren't saving for their retirement. And when we look at the demographics going forward, it's probably right that today's pensioners are earning a higher standard of living than maybe younger people would expect to, unless they do something about it. What are we doing to encourage young people to show them that they really do need to start saving now for their old age?
Well, we're going to really transform the pension system, and at the moment lots of people don't save because they think it's too complicated. We're going to make it much simpler, and we're going to make sure that everybody's got the right to a company pension. At the moment only a minority do. From 2012, if you save in your pension scheme, your employer's going to have to put in £1 to match every pound that you put in, so that's going to be a big change.
Oh, that's fantastic. Just one last thing, I want to pick up on carers, and it's particularly appropriate to women because we've got women who care for children, and we often see in these days that after they finish caring for their children, because elderly relatives are living longer, they're caring for relatives as well, and that used to mean that they weren't able to build up their own pension. What are we doing about that?
Well, we're saying that people who contribute to society by caring are contributing in an equally as valid a way as people who are working. And so we want to say, you know, whichever way you're contributing, you should be entitled to get a basic state pension at the end of it. And that will mean, at the moment, for example, I think women, only about a third of women get a full state pension, nearly all men do. We're going to get rid of that inequality, and there'll be as many women as men getting a pension.
That's really great to hear that. Thank you so much, and I'm sure my residents in Portsmouth will want to hear that too.
Thank you very much.